They alleged that when they worked for Kim, they weren't paid their overtime and they weren't allowed to take meal or rest breaks. They didn't care about how her staff was treated or if they were even getting paid while they worked in her home.
She said that she felt so degraded by you and you just started yelling at her.
Oh my God.
You said, keep your voice down.
She's lying.
The Kardashians are not known to be angels in the industry. However, in recent years, more and more rumors about how they treat their staff have come out as former employees of theirs have broken their silence on what exactly was going on behind closed doors. You'll be shocked to hear what kind of consequences this had, even for people who don't work for the Kardashians. Just recently, Khloe and Kris Jenner have come under massive fire for treating their staff in an undignified way at their $37 million mansions. Aerial view photos taken from above their mansions came as a huge shock to fans, and not because of a breach of privacy, but because of the tens of cars parked around the Kardashians' property while their driveways remained completely empty. The gated community owned by the Kardashians is not a small lot either, as the two have mansions worth of free space around their houses, meaning plenty of room for the many SUVs and cars parked right outside the gates. And not only that, but the two even have huge garages for their massive driveways, which remained, as much as we could see, unused. Fans were quick to criticize the two, as it was revealed that the cars parked belonged to their cleaning, security, and film crew, which meant that those employed to work for the Kardashians on the daily could not even park on the property they were hired to be at. Many found this extremely disturbing, not just because of the massive waste of space, but also because of the huge distance that the staff would have to walk to even make it inside the mansions, just because they were forced to park in the street. On Reddit, the conversation was full of flames, as many shared how disturbed they were by this behavior. Oh, it's raining? No, you can't use the plethora of space on my property to park. Not my problem. Walk up my long-ass driveway instead. Imagine being overworked and underpaid all day, then having to walk that far to get to your car. It's obscene. It's disgusting. The conversion even sparked another very needed conversation, one that has been around for quite a while, as many were upset that Khloe and Kris even had mansions that big, especially since they weren't even sharing a house, but had two for each of them. Seriously, it's so gross. Probably 30K plus of square feet for 4 people overall. God, I hate it. Khloe only lives alongside her children, while Kris lives with her partner Corey Gamble, meaning the huge amount of space is simply shared by 7 people, only 3 of them being adults. This is probably just another thing on top of what their staff has to deal with on a daily basis. However, people suspect that it's probably one of the most unnecessarily annoying parts of it. This is certainly not the first time that the Kardashians have been called out for mistreating staff, as Kim Kardashian has had her own set of call-outs after a very controversial comment of hers. When Kim said, "Nobody wants to work these days," the internet jumped on her for the very out-of-touch comment, especially as she tried to frame it as advice for other women. The moment was shared between Kim, her sisters, and Kris, and the full conversation only enraged fans more.
The best advice for women in business: get your fucking ass up and work. It seems like nobody wants to work these days.
That's so true.
You have to surround yourself with people that want to work. Have a good work environment where everyone loves what they do, because you have one life. No toxic work environments, and show up and do the work.
Since then, fans have looked back on many moments where the family's hard workers have had to suffer because of the Kardashian entitlement. In fact, one jarring moment was when Kourtney made a nanny cry, something which even Kim thought was too far as she stepped in to have a talk with her. Kim accused Kourtney of making the nanny cry, saying, however, all Kourtney had to say was that the nanny was lying and no such thing had happened.
She went in the other room and was crying, like was making plans to go home, and I was like, you're not fired, like it's okay, we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah, if you think she works for you, that's totally fine. She would never work for me with the way she acts.
In fact, the easy she turned it around and made it about herself was received very poorly by fans, especially when Kim also claimed that Kourtney had yelled at the nanny on another occasion, this time in a public restaurant, about a topic that should have been kept private. However, while many people saw this as enraging, An insider actually came out to defend the family's ways and claimed that Kim and Khloe actually treat their nannies like family, and that it's just Kourtney who has a different approach to it. Kim has several nannies that help with her kids, and they have worked for the family for a while. Khloe has also held on to a nanny for True that she treats well. It wasn't long until it was also revealed that Kourtney's nanny actually quit after her daughter Penelope had scratched her during a tantrum, which just goes to show exactly how much could have been wrong for that to be her breaking point. However, while Kim was defended by the insider, she's not in the clear, as her and Kanye's ex-staff were actually considering taking legal action against both of them just a few years ago. Kanye has been accused of mistreating his employees several times in the past, some of his ex-employees even going through with lawsuits. Because of this, his and Kim's house staff considered going down the same path, as they claimed that they weren't given mandatory breaks, paid for all their hours, or even paid back for the expenses they had while working at the Kim Ye home.
Suing her are 7 Latina workers. One of them is underage, only being 16 years old. They allege that when they worked for Kim, they weren't paid their overtime and they weren't allowed to take meal or rest breaks. They also allege that the 16-year-old was required to work more than 48 weekly hours, which is not allowed in California. And when the 16-year-old asked about those issues, he was fired.
However, while the accusations were very severe, a rep for Kim had come out to say that Kim and Kanye couldn't be held responsible for the mistreatment, since the staff had been hired through a third party and were not actually their responsibility. Basically, they were telling them to go take it up with their actual bosses. Nothing ever moved further in this case, seeing as the Kardashian family is truly untouchable when it comes to these things. It's not just physical and mental mistreatment either, as other works have come out to say that the Kardashians weren't even paying them properly, despite their millions. Beauty journalist Jessica DeFino claimed that while working with the family some years ago, she was being severely underpaid for her work on the Kris Jenner apps. This all started not long after Kim had been officially crowned a billionaire, and it seems like Jessica simply couldn't hold things in anymore, as she said, "I had to buy groceries at the 99 cents only store when I worked as an editor on the Kardashian Jenner official apps, and got reprimanded for freelancing on the side. It's an awful exploitative policy that makes sure eager, inexperienced, and poorly paid employees remain inexperienced and poorly paid." Another shocking claim made by employees was by Victoria Villarroel, who worked for Kris in 2015 and became Kylie's right-hand woman for her Kylie Lips brand. According to Victoria, there was no such thing as personal time when it came to working for the family, and she basically had to organize everything for Kylie while also being constantly available. "She'll call me at 2 a.m. and I will answer. I don't really have set hours. It's pretty much whenever duty calls. You basically do scheduling travel events like the Met Gala, you have to coordinate everything. Or any appearance that she has, award shows, the stylists, booking all her appointments, and keeping her calendar up to date." However, Victoria did have some good to say about Kylie, as she claims that she once overslept and almost made Kylie miss her flight since she was supposed to pick her up, but thankfully, Kylie had driven herself to the airport and didn't care much about the matter. However, she did claim to be extremely scared of Kris, especially when having to change some of Kylie's travel plans on some instances. Victoria quit her job as Kylie's assistant in 2019, and rumors of a fight between them had erupted everywhere, something which Victoria made sure to keep a lid on